So the entire intention, like Hema's rightly said, of the she-commerce community and especially the ShE-sparks initiative that we have launched today is to basically inspire, equip, and also educate all the college students and to prepare you for a corporate world, not necessarily e-commerce, but to prepare you for the corporate world, because what is actually what we think in our mind and what is the actual reality on ground is different. So today's session, which is the first of the three sessions we're bringing to you, is basically how corporate ready are you? What are the expectations versus the reality? And have today Soma Pandey joining us today, who, like I said, is a mentor with Aspire for her. She is also a HR transformation leader and a strategic visionary. Soma has an experience in the HR space for the past 25 years and has driven large scale transformations, leadership development, and business aligned strategies. She has led workforce initiatives impacting 350,000 plus employees across global enterprises. So, a whole lot of experience in this space. Most recently, she served as the global CHRO of Tredence Inc. So, we are fortunate that Soma has decided to, is joining us today to talk to you about what are the do's and don'ts and what are the things to keep in mind once you're entering the corporate world. So with this, I will hand over the session to Soma to guide all of you. Thank you. Soma, over to you.
Thank you, Pooja, and I'm so excited to be here. And people often ask me, why is it that I take interest in talking to college students? And my response always is that I'm a big follower of Warren Buffett, who's a big investor. And he has said that everybody will learn from their mistakes, but smart people learn from other people's mistakes. So I always share all the mistakes and missteps I might have in my career so that everybody can learn and they don't have to go through the same mistakes again. But today we're not just going to focus on my mistakes. We're going to look at a little bit about my journey and also understand what I have learned from it and what learnings the students today on the call can take in order to have a more successful corporate career. So it is a huge jump. Let me start by acknowledging that when you move from a student life to a corporate life, it's a massive life transitioning. You have to start adulting. I know in college it already felt that you've left school and you've gone into college, so now you're an adult. But once you start earning your own money and once you start being responsible for a lot of your actions, life changes quite a bit. And in that moment, to be ready and present and able to have a successful career, that requires some preparation. So I'm glad to welcome all the students today and thank you for your interest in trying to build yourself up for your future and attending a session like this. So let me quickly jump into my slides. I'll give you a quick idea about my own life journey and my career journey so that you can know where I'm coming from. And then we will talk a little bit about, what does it mean for you? What is the corporate landscape? What are the skills and qualities that will help you succeed in the corporate? You might be very successful students, but things have to shift a little bit so that you can succeed also in the corporate space. So we will talk a little bit about that. And then also try to understand that success and a long-term career takes time to build and it's like a marathon. So how do we prepare for that? So we'll talk about all of that. Like we said at the beginning, we will take questions at the end. I had prepared about 40 minutes for my session. I will try and speed through it. You will find I'll cover many concepts in a high level, but I will leave you with a lot of resources that you can keep consulting at a later level, a later point in time, so that you can follow and dig deeper into some of the concepts that I'll be sharing today. So quickly, apart from the fact that I have been a CHRO for several small and medium-sized companies and work for very large companies, this is really who I am. I was born in Dehradun, which is in Uttarakhand. I grew up in Mumbai because my father had a job where he got posted in different schools. And then he came back to Dehradun, which is where I finished my school education. And at that time, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. But I didn't get through my medical entrance exams. So I went off to Varanasi to BHU to study BSc. And I studied chemistry graduation from Banaras Hindu University. And then because My father said that if you don't get through some other competitive exam, I will get you married, and I didn't want to get married. So I applied for XLRI because some of my friends were applying for it. I didn't know what an MBA was, but thankfully, by the peer pressure and peer guidance, I was able to get into XLRI Jamshedpur, which is a well-known school for HR and for business education. So I graduated from there. And then I got into my first job, which was in a factory in ITC Limited, and I was posted in Saharanpur. So in India, I have lived in Saharanpur, I've lived in Bangalore, I've grown up in Mumbai and Dehradun. And then I got married and my husband moved to Germany. So I've lived in Germany, in Munich, and I've lived in the UK. As far as my career is concerned, when I was in Germany, I had to take a career break, but I have worked in an FMCG, I have worked in IT services firms like Accenture, Cognizant, I have worked in HR services firms like Randstad, I have worked in a BPM, which is First Source, and then my last job was in the analytics space in Credence. And now I'm doing this kind of work around consulting and advisory. I'm settled in Bangalore. I have two kids who have gone to college, so I have a lot of time on my hand. And this is who I am and how my career has fitted into my journey. But if I were to ask you to think about my career, you'd probably think, oh, she's so senior, she's had this great career graph. And yes, I wanted to have a career graph where I did hard work and I went straight to success. But the fact has been that careers are not a straight line. There's always been challenges, there's been some obstacles, there's been huge successes. But it's taken its time. It's taken a lot of resilience. It's taken flexibility on my part to succeed. So this is going to be the reality for most of us, right? So when you're coming into the career field and you're thinking about building your career and having a job, have realistic expectations. The reason I'm sharing this is that don't come in with rose-tinted glasses. Yes, you will succeed, but it is not just hard work which will help you succeed. So what is my reality? Like I told you, I wanted to be a doctor, but I am an HR professional. I wanted to work abroad. When I was finally I got into HR, I said, oh, it'll be nice to work abroad. But when I actually lived abroad, I couldn't work because I couldn't speak the language. So I had to take a career break. And it wasn't a small career break, it was a break for 5 years. Then when I started thinking about my life and my career, I thought I'll join one company like my father had, and I'll retire from the same company. But because of how my husband moved around and how my family needed and how my own career ambitions needed, I've had to change several jobs. And when I was younger, I thought success was about outshining my peers. Like, what's my batchmate doing? What's this guy doing? Who has got a promotion? And I have to beat everybody. But now I think it's more about, as I've aged, I think my success means I should be able to have time to have new experiences, learn new things and talk to new people. So things change. Career journeys are built of ups and downs. That's the background with which let's talk about some myths that at least I had. And when I talk to young people, I realize many of us have when we come into a job situation. So the first thing, like I already said, that many of us think that I'll land my dream job immediately. I want to work like I did. I want to be a doctor. Of course, I'll be a doctor. Some of you might think, okay, I want to work for this dream company. I will land that job immediately because I'm so good. I've got good grades. I've done good internships and I will get that job. But that may or may not happen, right? Careers take time to build. So when you're starting your first job, it is the beginning. And what you should look at from your first job is to gain the experience, build your skills, and start to explore what suits you and also start to network with people. So don't look at success immediately. It may come, it may take some time to come. Then the second myth is that if I work hard, I will succeed. Yes.
Soma, can I interrupt you? Are you presenting? Because somebody just asked. They're not able to see the slides.
Oh,
Would you like me to present?
I am presenting.
I think it didn't share. Do you want me to go ahead? Okay, now it is.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
We talked about technology malfunctions. So where am I? I'm here, right? Yeah. So you're seeing the myths and reality slides, right?
Yeah.
So hard work alone will not get you there. Of course, it's essential, but working smart and having strategic career moves also matter equally as compared to just working very hard. Another myth is that now college is over. Let me throw away all my books. I'm done with studying. Now I just have to earn big money and have a good time. Yes, you will earn big money, but learning has to continue. The reality is that your degree is just the first step, and you have to be a lifelong learner. You have to be adaptable. You have to be aware of the changes that are happening in the market and make sure that your learning gears are always functioning. And we talked about success as a straight line to the top. It may or may not be. Careers have ups and downs. There are setbacks, there are detours, there are failures, and that is all part of the journey, and you have to be prepared for the long term. And a high salary equals happiness. Yeah, of course, money can buy you a lot of things that give you happiness, but that may not always be a guarantee. So when you're building your career, when you're thinking about your dream job, think about other stuff like what is the kind of people you like to work with, what kind of brands you want to work with, what is the purpose you want to have in your life, and how you're going to balance all your different requirements around career as well as personal life. And also the rush, right? When we are 20, 25, we feel 30 is so old. And by 30, if I've not figured it out, then I have failed. No, you haven't. People keep making different moves and changes well into their 40s and 50s. And with things changing as fast as they are, I think as long as you can keep learning and keep reinventing yourself, you will never be irrelevant in the job market. But that doesn't mean I'm painting a bad picture for you. I'm putting it all out there so that now I can give you tools to manage all of these myths and realities, right? How do you equip yourself? Let's get you ready for the marathon. I want you to feel confident, to start to invest in yourself, to do deep dive into some of the stuff I will share with you today so that you are prepared for a much better future. So step 0, before you even take the first step, I think the first thing is to identify what do you value the most? What is important to you? What kind of a job you will thrive in? So identify your goal. And I'm sure in your colleges, you may have some career counselors, some coaches, some people who talk to you, and you're able to use various tools and methodologies to be able to find your values and your vision. But I would like to recommend these two books, which Ikigai I know is very popular already on social media, so many of you might have seen it, is that in order to lead a happy life, you have to do something that you love, but it also has to be something that earns you money so that you can afford the things in life. It has to have a social purpose, etc. So Ikigai is something. But the other book that I have personally found very, very useful is The Pathfinder by Nicholas Lohr. You can look it up on Google or Amazon. It has very nice exercises to help you decide what kind of a job will make you happy. So I would recommend that. So once you've identified your goal, obviously, if you decide that, okay, I have to now work in the corporate sector, then you have to start searching for a job. So for that, there's this book. Okay, sorry about that. The book called The 2-Hour Job Search. It is written by Steve Dalton. I've also linked a YouTube video here, in which the book is explained in a hour-long session. So you should try and watch this video when you have some time. The key takeaway from this is that you can actually find your dream job if you systematically follow these 7 steps. You don't have to leave it up to luck. You don't have to leave it up to a chance or anything, but that you can take control of your job search. And one of the first steps of the 7-step process is following the LAMP method, which is to create a list of all the companies that you might want to work with. And what Steve says is that you need to have a minimum of 40 companies on it. Only then you have a chance to crack it. And I'm sure in today's day and age, many of you may have applied for hundreds of jobs if you're in final or semi-final years. And so this is not going to come as a surprise to you. So you have to research about your dream companies and look at their competitors, talk to your mentors, look in LinkedIn, all of that, and try to identify, pinpoint at least 40 companies that you want to work with. Then try and find somebody within those companies who will advocate for you. What does advocate mean? Means they will support you. They will use their powers, use their goodwill to try and help you get either an internship or a job. So that's what advocacy means. And second is third M stands for motivation. When you start applying for these companies, you may meet success, you may not meet success. So make in that list of 40, rank the companies from a priority basis of which is my dream company, that stays at the top. And why do I think it's my dream company? Basis that you rank all the others, and then you make a list of prioritizing the companies, and in terms of how motivated are you to work for them or to go and search for a job in them. And of course, once you join the company, you will be motivated to work, but how motivated are you to look for a job in that? And then finally, once you have that list, start tracking the job postings that they may have on LinkedIn or any other Naukri or any other portals that you follow. So the LAMP method, it's an easy acronym to remember, but this is not the only thing in the book. I thought I will highlight this to you to get you started, to get your brain ticking in terms of a very systematic way to find a job and to utilize all the resources that are available today to you in order to crack the thing. Okay, so now you have decided what kind of a job you want. You've shortlisted the companies and you've applied for a job. What happens next? How do you get the job you want? Many of what I'm telling you, if you do ChatGPT, it will tell you the same thing. But I think when I speak to it, I'm telling you from my experience of how I respond when I receive an application, how I respond when I meet somebody in an interview, or how I have seen recruiters respond when I have gone for interviews. So since you're here today, please do listen to what I'm saying and try to internalize this whole concept, and not just do it as, okay, yeah, she had said this, and this, but try to think about why I'm saying what I'm saying. So some of the tips around tracking the job is, whenever you're making an application to any company, tailor your resume to that company's job, right? So usually they will put a job description or the name of the job. Try and understand what skills you have that you can highlight in your resume so that it resonates with the job, right? The worst thing you can do is apply for Myntra and put Amazon name in it, that I really want to work for Amazon. So really read the application, read the covering letter, read your resume in a way that you're talking directly to that company in a way that resonates with them. They will say, okay, or they might be using a bot to shortlist your resume. So it should link in and have the key phrases that match your resume. Utilize LinkedIn, right? And what I mean is, as a student, start by following leaders or following leaders from the companies that you want to work for, following companies that you want to work for, so that you are aware of what's happening in the company. When you start connecting with people, do not send blank mailers that hoping that somebody will accept your connection request. You have to give some information as to why you want to connect with them, if you've heard them speak somewhere or anything like that. So use LinkedIn, but in a very smart way. Don't do mass applications that you same resume, you just tick on every box and just keep sending it. Apply strategically so that you're using your mind and you're identifying reasons and the key points that you want to tell to each company when you're doing the application. It's very important to do mock interviews. Why I'm saying that is, many of us as students, we are used to speaking in a certain way, but in order for us to communicate our life story, our ambition, our skills in an interview context can be daunting. So please look for apps wherein you can record yourself and you can listen back to yourself and improve yourself, or tie up with a friend and you can take their interview and they can take your interview. But try and do a mock interview, because it helps for you to know where you get stuck and you can refine on that. Also try and request for referrals of your seniors who might be working in the same company, or some relative or friend who you know in your network. Do not be ashamed to look for referrals, because a recruiter finds it easier to work with a referral versus looking for a mass application that might have come. Of course, people get hired from mass application also, but if you have a referral, the chances are you will crack something easier. Then you've now cracked the job. Now you've joined the office. What happens next? Things will change. Like I was saying, this is a massive transition. This is one of the biggest transition that happens in life for all of us. We used to go to school where we paid money to attend it. Now we are being paid in order to show up, right? So it is a difference. And in school, you can just sit there, a teacher will teach you, you can make notes, but it is mostly passive learning. You're just receiving information. Now in a job, you have to use that information to start showing problem solving, because that is the expectation. If you just come in and keep waiting for people to tell you what to do, and then you do only that much work, and then you go home, and then you wonder why people don't appreciate you, or why someone else is moving up faster than you. The reason is because proactiveness is very, very important in the corporate sector compared to how it used to be in college. The other thing is that in a college, you're typically wanting to succeed yourself, right? In some colleges, of course, there is project work where you have part of your grade is linked to how a group performs, but usually it's individual work. In corporate, it's very rarely that you can be a sole, like a lone wolf, and succeed. You have to learn to collaborate. A team succeeds, and therefore how you work with other people, how you influence other people, how you listen to other people, how you follow, how you lead, both all of that becomes very, very important. Then you have, up until now, you had structured schedules. Yes, even in corporate, you would have some, time in, time out, all of that structured schedule, but you will largely be expected to take charge of your own time and to deliver on the outputs that you have promised. So from a structured schedule where someone else was telling you what time the class ends and what time the class starts and when the project is due and what the deadline is, now you will have to take some amount of autonomy and accountability on that. And also, you have to rewire your brain that just because you did a good job, you studied a syllabus, you went for the exam, you said the right answer, you will get a grade. And usually the grade will be directly proportional to the work that you did. That may not be the case in corporate, because in corporate, it's not just about all the actions that you did, it is also about the impact that that action created, right? So it's not just that I did this project, but did the project succeed? Did we get what we wanted? For example, in Myntra's case, did we increase our social media visibility? Did we increase the hits to our website? Did we increase sales? Did we reduce returns? All of those things will matter versus I did my job and now I am not responsible for what happens after that. The sooner you build that, it'll be better. But what doesn't change once you get into a job is you still need to have deep skills in whatever your functional or technical area is, right? There is no compromise on that. There are many people, many peers you have who are competing for a similar job. So that's a no-brainer. You have to be really good at the job that you do. So let's just recap what all the things we said. We said, you have to move from passive learning to proactive problem solving. How can you do that? You have to learn to take initiative. You have to focus on finding solutions, right? As young people, we are all used to some other adults being around and, we just tell them this is not working and somebody will take the initiative and get it fixed. But now you have to stop complaining and start looking for answers and solutions. Second is teamwork and collaboration instead of individual expertise. So you have to sharpen your communication skills. The first thing that happens when we start interacting with other people is we have to communicate our ideas. We have to convince them that what we are suggesting is a good thing. We have to listen to their ideas and try and evaluate them whether they have pros or cons. So having a very good communication skill is extremely important for corporate success. Right. So one of the things that I always refer people to is the pyramid principle of communication. So you can make a note of that, read up the article, you can Google it, pyramid principle of communication, of how to come across very effectively by stating what is the problem, what is the solution, and what's the impact going to be, in order to not waste other people's time and have the maximum people understanding and agreeing with you. And the second thing is, of course, you have to develop empathy and emotional intelligence. What that means is that you may have a great idea or you may have a problem, but the recipient on the other side should also be prepared to invest in that, right? So you have to be aware of who you're talking to and what they might be going through so that you are more effective in your ability to teamwork and collaborate with them. Finally, we talked about, not finally, but one of the things we talked about is self-discipline and accountability, right? So punctuality, especially in freshers, is extremely important. It's one of the smallest things you can do to show that you're interested in a job. So when you turn up for your trainings or your inductions or any meetings, just make sure you're on time and learn to manage your time, right? How much time you're spending at work, how much time you're spending on social media, how much rest you're getting, uh, what is the deadline for the work that you've been given. All those things you have to start to manage your time much more effectively than you might have done in college. Some people are good at it, some people are not so good at it, but it's very important that you start getting good at it at this point in time. And the other thing is accountability, right? Like I said, there is very rarely an occasion in companies where an individual can succeed on their own. Typically, what you do leads to somebody else's input, and then they have to do something, and then it leads to somebody else's input, and so on and so forth. So people are depending on you to do what you have said you will do. So the basic professional etiquette is that keep up with your promises. If you have said you will deliver something by 5 o'clock on a Tuesday, then do that on a 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. If you can't do it, then you have to call and inform and give adequate notice to people to start to be prepared for that point of failure. And finally, don't just look at your job description and just check in the box that, okay, I'm supposed to do these 3 things today. I've done it. Now my job is done. Ask questions as to, okay, I'm doing this 3 things. What happens because of that? Where does it end up? What is the long-term perspective that the company is taking? What is the strategic project that they're working on? So for that, you have to be aware of what are the organizational strategies. So all companies have a website. Go read what the website says. The CEOs will give interviews. Read the interviews. There might be press releases about the company. Read that so that you know, okay, this is where the company is going. And what I'm doing is adding to that final outcome. And therefore, my work is important. And therefore, what I'm doing is I should do it in an X or Y fashion, right? So try to focus on what meaningful contribution you're doing versus just doing your job. And we talked about technical skills, and this is something you will hear very often, that people are encouraging you to build a T-shaped skill matrix. What does that mean? It means that while you should have a breadth of experience, right? So for example, if you're a marketing professional, then you may have a breadth of experience and knowledge in marketing, but you should have depth in one particular skill within that. So for example, you should be a deep expert with lots of knowledge about the latest and the greatest, for example, in digital marketing. So you know marketing, but you very well, but you know digital marketing very, very well. So whether you're a software developer, whether you're an HR professional, whether you're in finance or whatever, think about what's skills you have and how they map out. Do you know many things in order to succeed? But do you also know one thing very, very well so that people can count on you as the expert? So apart from skills, something that really stands out is your behavior in the workplace, right? And I was talking about being an adult and coming across as a professional. So what are the behavioral shifts you might have to make, or what are the behaviors that work or don't work in an organization? So the first thing is that, you know, the feedback is not just a report card, right? Every day you talk to your boss, your peers, your team members, you will find that somebody will tell you something about what they liked or what they didn't like about your work. So you have to learn to accept feedback, right? Don't defend. You can listen to it, you can absorb it, and if you feel that it is unfair, you can reject it. But being defensive and not listening is not going to help you, because none of us knows everything. And it's important to listen out to the people who are observing you as an external party and telling you how you're coming across. So that's, I think, the biggest change that happens at home. Typically in our families, we don't have that much pressure to behave. Like, you know, you're a child and everybody loves you and they excuse you. Then you go to college and you have your gang, and, you know, irrespective of what you do, somebody loves you. But at work, that may or may not happen. You need to learn to start accepting feedback. Second is that there is very little black and white. Yes, when you start off in your job, fresher jobs may be very clear cut that, okay, you have to start here, you have to end here, you have to do these 5 things and done. But over time, you will find that things begin to be more ambiguous and begin to change. And therefore, don't be very set in your mindset. You can't go in and say, okay, I want to build my career in finance and I will just grow like this, like this, like this, and become the CFO. And that's what I'm doing, nothing else. I will not go right or left. I don't care what happens. Or you gave me this job description, it says 5 things. Now you're saying this 4th thing is not there and 3rd thing has changed. I can't do this. You have not given me the right job. Those things happen, right? The business realities keep changing and organizations are trying to find the best fit. So the ability to deal with change and flexibility, be flexible is very, very important. And finally, learning mindset. Like I said, don't get stuck. Always keep learning, keep reading what's happening in the markets, keep reading what's happening in the world, because, socioeconomic, geopolitical things, they all impact how business is done. So what's happening? What's the new thing that's coming in? What's my company doing? So keep learning and keep your mind open to listening to people who come from diverse backgrounds so that you're not getting stuck in one place. And then, because we said collaboration and teamwork is very important, it's important also to understand that how you interact with other people is going to play a huge part in your success in the long run. So you have to understand workplace dynamics and respect boundaries. They might sound like a very big words, but what it basically means is workplace dynamics is who is the boss, who is their manager, who is your peer, who works for which department, how does it all come together, who has what roles and responsibilities. You have to start to understand that. And respect boundaries. Boundaries are what, like, can I call you after 6 p.m., 10 p.m., can you call me? How many hours do you need for you to turn around what I'm asking you? Those kinds of things. What are the boundaries? And also in a relationship, right? Like what kind of informality, what kind of jokes people appreciate, what kind they don't appreciate. Those kinds of things you should start to be very mindful of in a professional context. Then I've already spoken about emotional intelligence, of being aware of other people and what their situation might be. Navigating difficult conversations, right? Like I said, there might be some tough feedback your boss gives you, how you respond to that. Or there might be some situation where you've not felt very good and you need to give feedback to somebody. How are you going to say it in a way that you get the outcome that you want versus, just putting people off? And then finally, as you grow, the people you have relationships with will also grow. So over time, you will find that your network grows and you help each other out as you're becoming more and more senior. So build strong and positive relationships with whoever you meet in a way that portrays you in a positive light, in a way that you are helpful to others, you're sincere, you're honest, and all of those good things that you can start to include in your relationships. I'm so sorry. My animations are all over the place. But after doing all of that also, things, like I said, may suddenly change. Some of it might be positive, that you may have unplanned opportunities will come your way, or you'll have great success. And that will happen if you keep embracing challenges, right? If someone throws something at you, instead of saying, no, that's not my job, you say, okay, let me try it. Then chances are, if you succeed, then you will have new opportunities open up. If you're well networked, if people know what you're good for, if people know what you want to do, those projects may come your way if you're networking really well. So networking, I cannot overemphasize the importance of networking within organizations. And mentorship. Again, if there are 3 things I want to tell you about how you can succeed, it's network, find mentors, and embrace challenges. And mentors could be people within your team, it could be people outside your team, outside the organization, but anyone who you find things like in a way that you aspire to think, or they work in a way that is exciting for you, reach out to them and try to get them on your side. Similarly, there can be unexpected challenges and setbacks. For example, org changes, right? That the org has to pivot in a different direction because markets have changed, and that might lead to job changes. There may be an economic downturn, or in fact, you may have life situations come up where you need to take a different look at what you want to do with your job versus your family and your career goals, etc. So lots of things happen as time goes by, and the way to deal with all of this is that you build resilience. In that, they say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So in marathon, it is not just about the speed at which you can run, it is also about how long you can sustain and I know how you get up once you have fallen and things like that. And that will happen if you have a very strong support system and if you're practicing self-care, right? So these are all, again, things that you will find on the internet. You can research each of this, but spend some time with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Start to learn about what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and how you're going to be able to come stay at your best. All right. And this one I specifically put in there, and Hema, I have to thank you for this because Hema and I were speaking about what are the things that young generation are struggling with. And I think it's social media. Please always remember that what happens on the reels versus what happens in real life is different. People might be projecting a lot of happy stuff on the net, but you have to run your own race. And as an American president, Theodore Roosevelt, said that comparison is the thief of joy. Live your life, run your race. Do not start comparing, oh, that fellow has become, DGM and I'm only manager, or they have bought a big car and I only still have a bike. It doesn't matter. Your criteria for success, their criteria for success, what they are doing versus what you're doing may be so different. It's about be better than yourself, be happy with yourself versus trying to emulate others. And whenever you feel low, rely on the network, on your self-work, etc., which I showed you in the previous slide. And even these communities that we are building, right? What Aspire for Her has built, this is a great place to network and lean on each other when times get tough and you're wondering if you're doing something wrong. So let's now quickly summarize what I have been telling you. Think of your career in 3 steps, right? There are short-term goals, which as of now, with your first job, it should be about gaining the best experience that you can, building the skills you can. It's an investment into yourself and start to build your network. As you grow, then you have to start looking for, okay, how can I get promoted? How can I do this job? How can I get more responsibility? All of those things will come in. And over there, adaptability will be very key as to you keeping your mind open and jumping on responsibilities, learning more, etc. And finally, your long-term goals can be about, okay, so what am I going to do with my life? Am I happy? But if you have this picture in your mind, over time, you will be moving in a direction where you have got to some place that you wanted to get versus letting the tides take you wherever they go. I'm so sorry about this animation situation. So key lessons to remember of all the talking that I have done. Careers evolve over time. You cannot rush success. So don't be disappointed. Don't be heartbroken. Be kind to yourself. Keep learning. Keep building. Keep growing. Develop valuable skills. So keep your eyes open as to what's the burning topic. Can I learn it? How can I show that I'm able to solve problems which other people cannot? Failure is part of the journey. There are many good quotes about failure, right? The people who see the records being broken don't see the 10,000 hours of work that went behind a person's success, right? Take care of your mental health. If you are well in mind and body, that's the only way you can actually continue to have a career. So please keep that in mind. Seek help if you need to. Have friends and family, have a support system, and success is going to be yours, but you have to stay in the game. So don't give up. Don't leave the job. Don't leave the industry unless you're going to do something better. Stay there, and ultimately you will get to the place that you're dreaming of. All right. And one of my favorite quotes, it always seems impossible unless you do it. So I hope that each of you are able to do it. You have all my best wishes for that. And I'm here to answer any questions today or ping me on LinkedIn with a reference to this session, and I'll be happy to connect with you and have a chat. Wish you all the very best.